We are just in front of the UN building. You could say in front or behind. I would want to believe that we are in front of the UN building.
We are at the Global People's Assembly happening in New York City.
It's an initiative from the CSOs led by GCAP.
It's about bringing people's voices together from all over the world.
This building says United Nations, but today we showed you the people from many different nations united themselves.
If we're talking about inclusivity for real and we really mean what we say, then let's listen to each other.
We have to send a message from all the people that now is the time.
A lot of people from all parts of the world have come. They want to see change.
Bringing the voices of the masses to this global platform. That is what we are doing here today.
Welcome to this Global People's Assembly. We are here who are traditionally and routinely discriminated communities across the world.
There's so many people here today, they're talking about different issues.
Who are the people who are left behind, and how do we ensure that their voices are heard?
We are meeting here as civil society. We have organized meetings around the world in 40 countries.
The Global People's Assembly is about hearing those voices, hearing those experiences, and trying to cultivate and curate a movement that's driven by people, for people from across the world.
Civil society groups, citizens group need to reclaim their agency.
They want to be heard. So it starts by us. I was born in Soweto. I'm sure you guys, you've heard of Soweto. You've heard of Nelson Mandela.
This event is so important because we are collecting the voices of the people. We are organizing, mobilizing, and amplifying the voices of women and girls living in slum communities across Kenya. We want to be part and parcel of development processes. The people will present to you the real situation on the ground. So without listening to the people, we are solving no problem.
Many people fear that the future that they are able to create for their children is worse than the situation they have themselves. And I think that is actually the first time in history that that is happening.
If you hear what's going on, there are sirens everywhere.
I think the world is coming closer to an abyss, much closer than I've ever thought.
People continue to remain poor. They live in indignity.
A lot of human rights defenders in my country have been killed, especially those that are working on environmental justice.
An activist said the other day, we are halfway there, but nowhere near.
We've been through COVID, we know about climate, but there are so many more in terms of inequalities.
Our world is falling apart. Our world is falling apart. People are dying. There's more division than ever. People are miserable, people are depressed.
There's still a lot of poverty, inequality, there's still a lot of marginalization.
Hunger increased, the first time after decades of improvements.
No one should be hungry in the world that we live in.
Again and again, governments fail, the international agencies fail, they make lofty promises.
It's really important to talk about gender equality as the UN has propagated it.
People are nowhere near the center. People are nowhere near the policies that are being designed and being implemented. But instead, it is multinational corporations. The global economic order is not working for a majority of the people. All of these crises seem to be affecting the poorest more, particularly young people, particularly women.
It ensures that it's only the top 1% who get all the benefits, all the profits accrue only to them. You have seen at the same time extreme wealth rise and extreme poverty rise.
The gaps between the ones who have and the ones who haven't are increasing.
There were more billionaires created during COVID-19 than there were people lifted out of poverty.
Economic inequality is becoming obscene.
The multifaceted increasing inequality that we see globally, but also at country level.
As much as resources you have as a country, as more poor you are.
Like I said, Africa, the world gets all its resources from here. This continent is the most rich in gold, the most rich in cobalt, the most rich in all natural resources. and for too long it's been left out.
I'm a geographer, so space matters. So we are in this side, the other meeting is taking place. We need to get the energy of this room across the street.
A lot of what's on the agenda has been shaped by power imbalances in decision making. And what it's really about is redoing multilateralism and trying to get rid of a lot of those imbalances.
This needs to change. This is not the promise of the SDGs. This is not the promise of the UN.
I think you are all very optimistic people, otherwise you would not come to that session that we can democratize the United Nations.
There was a time that we would not get a woman from the slums in such a space. Here I am today. The world has changed. We are able to access internet. We know about our policies. My grandmother would listen and just sleep and wake up and clap without hearing anything. My mom listened, but she had no voice. Here I am, I have my voice. But look at my daughter, who is growing up in the movement. What if she's given the opportunity?
We owe this to the young people sitting on strike every Friday. We owe this to the protesters in Hong Kong. We owe this to George Floyd. And we owe this to Mahsa Amini. She wanted freedom.
We want justice. When do we want it? Now.
We live in a world where what happens outside our countries actually affects us.
SDGs is a lifestyle. SDGs is what we do every single day. If you care, caring as well, that's the most. Because I always tell people, I don't care if someone tells me they love me, but if they care, they will make sure that they treat me the same way they treat themselves. We all do care. That is why we're here this morning. That is why you guys sacrificed whatever that you had. That it was important to be here and fight.
It is very important for us to understand the intersectionality of these issues and also connect that with the intersectionality of movements.
The social justice movement, the economic justice movement, the environmental justice movement, and human rights movement, they all need to work together.
All these movements are coming together because finance is at the heart of it.
Public finance at all levels is essential for securing human rights, for ensuring quality education, public health, prevention, for people who can't buy that in the market. And even if you can buy it in the market, that's not human rights.
Even if there is some money going around, it's not reaching the people who need them the most.
The less we continue propagating market-based neoliberal approaches, the better our movements will be.
Market solutions do not guarantee human rights.
We will not have sustainable economic development unless we factor in that this is also about social sustainability.
Amanda means power. Aware to means ours.
Protest is really also, of course, a sign of the strength of a society.
Amanda! Amanda!
Performances.
Shifting shapes and make some space. I am here without a face. With love, peace, and harmony, we remember that we were family.
Turn the sound up. We're what's missing in rooms empty. Irresistible with a mic and a flow.
From Hawaii to Greece, from Libya to China, and beyond, the impacts of climate change are being felt on every continent, every place where you and I come from. It's a tragedy, right, that we for decades have known that the fossil fuels needs to be phased out, right? And here we are in 23 and still fossil fuels coming out of the ground.
Already now, billions of people are impacted by the negative impacts of climate crisis, for example, by weather extreme events or even by the slow onset events, such as, for example, sea level rise.
We had a flood in Germany. Many people died because people were not prepared for that. We had no early warning. It still takes time to build up, but we are able to manage this one event in a small spot in Germany. Many more will come, and also rich countries are impacted by loss and damage.
Loss and damage is the result of more than 30 years of inaction on the part of developed countries.
Climate change means both the end to the era of fossil fuels and holding country and corporate polluters responsible, both legally and financially, for the harm caused by climate change.
If we don't change the pattern of greenhouse gas emissions, we're going to be too late, and some of the impacts we are living and suffering, especially in the south, are irreversible already.
The roof has been blown away, and the family members are being separated by the rushing waters, and their house had already disappeared beneath the water. And then Joanna and her mother were still holding on to each other, but after a while, it became very difficult for her. And she made the most painful decision she has ever made in her life. She let go of her mom because she was gonna drown and the two of them would have died. We see so much difficulty and pain all around us, suffering all around us in all parts of the world. Joanna was a small town girl when the typhoon struck. She's now a climate justice activist, and she tells me often when we see each other, the things that we value most in our lives are at risk, and I want to be part of that movement that protects them.
The best way I think we can really make the world a better place is to start by looking at us ourselves, self-reflection.
I think it's already happening.
We can make the world a better place by not leaving anyone behind.
But first we gotta stop, take a breath, let's breathe, let's meditate, and together envision a better world for all of us. So it's a simple thing, let's meditate.
We need an end to fossil fuels now, right? We've known that for decades, now is the time.
The United Nations Charter, one of the first sentences is about we the people.
We can make the change possible, not only the politicians. I'm really losing expectations on them, but I really believe in the people.
Resistance looks like in various different forms.
And we want to see that rich countries also put concretely money on the table.
Never sitting on the fence. In the face of blatant injustice, always take a stand.
Amandla awethu.